So how about reaching your website visitors? Reaching your website visitors is also referred as retargeting, and it's definitely my favorite Facebook advertising feature. If you want to know what retargeting is, how it works, and how you can include it in your day-to-day business, then you will absolutely love the next few videos. Okay, in this video I want to answer one of the most important questions, and that is, what is actually retargeting or remarketing? Now, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture a world without retargeting. And that world that you will see is actually a very, very sad place. Why? Years ago, in the times before retargeting, you were sending visitors to your website and you wanted them to complete a desired action. That could have been making a purchase, like purchasing a product, no matter whether it's a digital product or a physical product, or purchasing one of your services. Or maybe you just wanted them to opt into an email list so that you could follow up with your visitors. Now, in the perfect world, 100% of your visitors would convert. That means you would have a conversion rate of 100%. But this is just a perfect world. The reality looks a lot different. So when you're sending first-time visitors to your website and you want them to make a purchase, the average numbers are that 2% of these visitors will make a purchase and 98% will leave, which is actually pretty bad and pretty sad, because these people have already shown an interest in your brand and in your topic, and they didn't purchase for whatever reason. Maybe they have been at work and they were not allowed to browse the internet and they got disrupted, or they didn't trust you enough, or they just wanted to take an hour to think whether they should make the purchase or not, or whether they should go to your competitor or not. So bottom line, the vast majority of your visitors will leave without making a purchase or without leaving their email address. And before the concept of retargeting, there was basically no chance to follow up with them unless you had their email address, or unless they became your fans or your YouTube channel subscribers or your Twitter followers. But in most of the cases, you will probably not see that visitor again, okay? That visitor will leave and you will never ever see him again. There was absolutely no way to re-engage with an existing visitor that has already shown some interest in you or your brand or a specific product that you are offering for a purchase. So this was a really big problem, and it made marketing pretty inefficient, especially if you're driving paid traffic campaigns and that traffic didn't convert right away. But then retargeting came, and retargeting changed everything. It just opened the doors to a completely new world. And how did that world look like? Let's take a look at the old scenario. You were sending a visitor to a website and he didn't purchase. Let's say you were offering him a pair of shoes, and he didn't purchase because, as I said, he was at work. His boss came and he just closed the window, and he was thinking like, oh, when I'm home in 3 hours, I will just buy these shoes because they look really great. But he forgot about it because, he had a fight with his wife or his girlfriend, and, he was busy with something else. So he just completely forgot to buy your shoes, which is really bad because you wanted them. So what to do about that? The solution is retargeting. So retargeting is basically a cookie-based technology that uses a simple JavaScript code that will follow your audience, your visitors, all over the web, and particularly on Facebook. That is basically Facebook retargeting is what we will focus on in this training. And it's very simple how it works. You place a small piece of code on your website. This code is sometimes referred to as a pixel snippet, a pixel code. And the code or the pixel is not noticeable to your website visitors. He can't see that pixel, and it won't affect your site's performance at all. It's completely invisible. But every time a new visitor comes to your site, the code drops a browser cookie. And later, when your cookied visitors browse the web or browse Facebook, the cookie will let your retargeting provider know when to serve ads, ensuring that your ads are served only to these people who have previously visited your website. And that is brilliant. So basically, whenever a new visitor comes to your website, a pixel is triggered, and you can just reach out for these people later down the road the next time they log into Facebook. So in this example, a visitor wants to buy shoes. He takes a look at the sales page, maybe even put them into the shoes into the shopping cart, but he just didn't make a purchase. In that case, a pixel was triggered, okay? And the next time he logs into Facebook, I can serve him an ad saying, hey, you've been to my online shop, but you didn't complete the purchase. Why? Go back and buy your shoes. Or I could even give him a discount, like, hey, you get a 20% discount if you buy these shoes now. Okay? So this is really great if the customer didn't finish the entire sales cycle. Or let's take a look at a different example. Assume you're running a blog or any other type of website, maybe an e-commerce store, and you have a like box, a Facebook like box placed on your website. And your first-time visitor doesn't become a fan, so what I could do then is just, install a pixel and create an ad saying, hey, you've been on my website, you read my blog article, why not becoming my fan? This also works really great when you build an email list. You're sending people to a squeeze page and they do not convert. You can do the very same and tell them, hey, why didn't you claim your free course on how to get 1,000 visitors to your blog in less than 24 hours? Or why didn't you claim my free report on how to land a kiss during your first date? Okay? So you can tell them, hey, you had the chance to opt in, do it now. Or if you see he's not interested in a particular lead magnet, you could just offer him something else, something that's still relevant to him but different. So there are lots of use cases to play around with retargeting, lots of different methods. We will take a deep look at all of them, but what I want you to remember now, and that's the underlying concept of retargeting, no matter if it's Facebook retargeting or retargeting that takes place outside of Facebook. A visitor comes to your website and he doesn't complete a specific desired action. You have the chance to re-engage with him, to follow up with him, and make sure that he completes the desired action, no matter whether it's a purchase, no matter whether you want him to opt into your lead magnet or just to read a different article, to engage with a different type or piece of content, or whether you just want him to become your fan on Facebook. There are lots of great techniques to apply retargeting successfully in your business, but that's the bottom line. So we have actually already answered this question in one of the previous videos, but I just want to make sure that you truly understand the concept of retargeting. So let's just do a short recap and just take a look again at why retargeting is so effective. Now, so what retargeting is doing is to re-engage with people who are already familiar with your brand and with people who demonstrated some interest in your brand, in your product, or in your services, okay? This is really powerful. These people already know you, and these are the people who will most likely become your customers. Or these are the people who will most likely opt into your email list or read a different or a new piece of content, a new article. That's why it's so valuable and so important to focus on these people, to re-engage with them, to reach out to them and say like, hey, stop. You were about to purchase my product. Why haven't you done it? Do it now. Here is a discount. Hey, you didn't opt into my email list. Stop. Reconsider. Take the chance, take the opportunity to opt in now. This is really, really powerful, and you can get really specific with retargeting. So let's take a look at a few examples. For example, you can retarget people who have visited your website, your domain. You can tell them, hey, you've been on my website, become my fan. Or you can reach out to people who have visited a very specific web page, a very specific article, or a very specific product on your website. I don't care what it is. So you can really drill down and just make sure to reach out to people who have visited a very specific section of your website. Or you can just go for keywords in your URL. You could just say like, okay, I want to retarget people who've been on a specific website or web page that had the keyword checkout or Facebook marketing in the URL, which is great. There are lots of use cases for that. Or you can say, I want to retarget people and reach out to people who have been on web page A, but not on web page B. This is very, very useful if you're building sales funnels or if you're having an online shop. So you can say, hey, I want to reach out to people who have actually seen that offer, but also reach out to them who didn't make it to the checkout yet. Okay? This way you can avoid that you actually reach out to people who have seen your offer and people who have actually purchased your product. So you can actually exclude the buyers and just retarget those who didn't make it through the entire sales cycle. So these are the 4 main features that you can use on Facebook. We will take a look at these 4 specific sections later down the road. But as you can see, there are many different use cases of retargeting. It's not only like that you can reach out to people who have been on your domain, on your website. No, you can get more specific than that. You can reach out to people who have been on a very specific web page or visited websites with a very specific set of URLs, of keywords in the URL, or you can reach out to people who have visited web page A but not web page B. Lots of great examples that we will take a look at how to make sure that you apply these strategies, these features. There are really lots of options how you can play around with these key features, but I can only tell you I'm absolutely in love with retargeting, and I'll show you some really great ways how you can apply retargeting and make sure that you scale your business right away. Okay, let's get started with the setup of our first retargeting campaign. As you remember, the first step in the process is to get a retargeting pixel installed. It's a JavaScript code that you will have to paste on your website, and I will show you the first steps of basically how to do it. So make sure to log into your Facebook ads account for demonstration purposes. I have set up a brand new account. So in case you're starting out with Facebook and you've never ever set up an ad before, this is how it would look like. So what you have to do next is to click on Tools and select the option Audiences. Next, I want you to click on Custom Audiences. So click here on Create a Custom Audience. And now we have the option to select from 3 different custom sub-audiences. So we can either upload our customer list, like our emails from our customers, phone numbers, Facebook IDs. This is what we'll not focus in this training. What we'll focus on is this option here, website traffic. As it says, create a list of people who visit your website or view specific web pages. This is what we want to do. This is the retargeting function inside Facebook. So let's click on this. Well, we will have to accept the terms and conditions. If you want, you can just read through it. And next, just click on Create Custom Audience Pixel. Okay, so this is a JavaScript code that you will have to paste on your website. Just copy paste this one, and it's really, really easy to do. If you want to learn how to get it done, and you want to do it yourself, click on the Help Center. We can do that and just open it in a new tab. And Facebook will provide you with all sorts of information how to do it manually. Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy to do. What you can also do is send the code to a website developer. So you can just enter here the email address and then include the personal message like, hey, I'd ask you to include the custom audience pixel, the retargeting pixel. I want you to paste it into my website. In case you don't want to do it yourself, don't worry about it. In the next video, I will show you one of my favorite resources to get the custom audience pixel, the retargeting pixel, included into your website by someone else. And in case you don't want to do it, you will absolutely love this resource. Okay, so in case you're looking for some help to get your pixel installed, there's a really great website that I want to show you. This website is called Fiverr, okay? Just go to fiverr.com and then there's a search box. And what you should enter here is the search term remarketing pixel or retargeting pixel. There are plenty of sellers offering the service to install the pixel for you, like this guy, okay? So for only $5, he will basically add your Facebook or Google remarketing or tracking pixel to your WordPress website. It's pretty easy to do. You just place an order, you pay these $5, then you get an email from the seller. He will request the necessary information to access your website. Then you just send him the pixel code and he will just install it for you. So it's $5. It's really easy to do. And if you don't want to do it yourself, I can just highly encourage you to take a look at Fiverr and just book a gig. Once you created and installed your retargeting pixel, it's time to move on and create your very first website custom audience or retargeting list. And the goal of this video is to show you how to do it. So to get started, go back to your Facebook ads account and click on Tools. Can you see that? Just click here and then select Audiences from the dropdown. Next, click on Create Audience, select Custom Audience, and then just go ahead and click on the website traffic. Okay, great. As you can see, that's the place where we will customize our retargeting pixel. So let's take a look at this little dashboard. On top, you can see the name of your retargeting pixel, and there's also a green dot next to it. This green dot indicates that your retargeting pixel is working fine. In case you see a red dot, that means that your retargeting pixel is broken. All you will have to do is to fix it, so don't worry about it. If you see a red dot here, just go ahead and reinstall your retargeting pixel. Then there is a section called Website Traffic. This is probably the most important section of the entire customization process. So let's click on it. As you can see, there are 5 different options to choose from. The first one is anyone who visits your website. Then there's the option to create a retargeting list that includes people who visit specific web pages, people visiting specific web pages but not others, people who haven't visited in a certain amount of time, and last but not least, there are some custom combinations. The first option is pretty simple and straightforward. So you can create a retargeting list that includes every visitor who visits your website. It's pretty specific, so you can say, hey, you've been on my website, how about liking my page? How about taking a look at this offer? How about becoming my email subscriber, right? So basically you're targeting every visitor of your website who has an account registered on Facebook. It's pretty specific, but you can get even more specific by selecting the second option. So you can say, I just want to reach out to people who visit specific web pages. In other words, you can say, I want to re-engage only with the visitors who read a particular piece of content, a particular article, or I just want to reach out and re-engage with visitors who viewed a particular offer or who made it to the squeeze page. So what you can do by choosing this option is targeting only a specific set of your website visitors. Then there's the option to create a retargeting list that includes people visiting specific web pages but not others. Use this option if you're working with any type of funnel structures. Let's take a look at a very simple example. You're sending visitors to a squeeze page, and the squeeze page is the place where you're asking your visitor to submit his email address, and in exchange for his email address, he will get a free report on how to get 1,000 fans on Facebook within 24 hours with just $5, or how to get 1,000 Twitter followers within 24 hours for free. In case he opts in, he will get automatically forwarded to something called a thank you page. The thank you page will just say, hey, thank you for providing your email address. Here's the free report that you requested. So you just acknowledge his previous action, say thank you, and just deliver on your promise. However, what if a visitor makes it to your squeeze page, takes a look at the free report and goes like, no, I don't want this free report. In this particular case, a visitor would make it to the squeeze page but not to the thank you page because he didn't opt in. What you can do now is to create a retargeting ad and reach out to the ones who made it to the squeeze page but didn't actually make it to the thank you page. So you can just re-engage with them, tell them, hey, you didn't opt in, reconsider your decision, or you didn't like this particular free report on how to get 1,000 Facebook fans. How about a new report on how to get 1,000 YouTube subscribers or 1,000 blog readers? So you can just forward them to a new squeeze page. Can offer them something different that's still related to their desired end result, but it's just something different. Then, people who haven't visited in a certain amount of time, this is great if you're running a blog and you have some kind of content strategy in place. By selecting this option, you can re-engage with blog readers who haven't been on your blog for a certain amount of time. So whenever you're looking for a visitor to come back over and over again and read or engage with what you have to offer on your website, then select this option here. And then there are some custom combinations which you will not use in 99% of the cases. Make sure you understood the core concepts that are behind these 4 options here. Again, don't worry if you didn't understand any of these core strategies I talked about. We'll take a look at core strategies in the next video. What's the goal of this video is to show you that you will have to set up this section here and that you understand a little bit the technique behind each and every option and what actually happens. For the sake of simplicity, I'll just go ahead and select the simplest option, which is creating a list that includes anyone who visits a website. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and select a domain here. Just selected AdBaker, which is a German social media marketing blog. Then, this is also a pretty important section. You can specify the number of days people will remain on your retargeting list after they visit your website. You can say, I want to keep visitors for only a day. You can even say, I want to keep them for 180 days on my list. So you can basically re-engage with them 180 days after they have been a visitor of your website, which is great because that's actually like 6 months. That's basically half a year. So the big question is, how many days should you keep a visitor on your list? Again, this completely depends on your retargeting strategy. In the next video, we'll talk about this section again. Last but not least, you have to give your audience a name. Choose something descriptive. Make sure that you take a look at your audience that you created today in like 3 months and you still know right off the bat, okay, that's an audience that includes visitors who made it to AdBaker and I'm keeping them for 30 days on that list. So what I would do in this case is just to write something like general website retargeting 30 days. If you're done, just click on Create Audience. And we're done. Thank you for creating a custom audience. Your audience is ready to use. That's the basic setup process of basically every custom audience. Once you created a retargeting list and decided to take a specific course strategy into action, the big question is, how do you use that retargeting list in the ad setup process? The great thing is that what we will cover now basically never changes. No matter whether you want to set up a fan page and just promote it, or whether you just want to drive traffic to your products and services, or just drive traffic to your squeeze page to build up your email list. The things that we will cover now remain always the same. For the sake of simplicity, I decided to go ahead and get started with a very simple campaign, and that is building up AdBaker, building up the fan base. So the campaign objective of this example here is to generate more likes. And as you can see, the first step in the campaign or ad creation process is to specify your target audience. So Facebook is asking you, who do you want your ads to reach? The first section that we can specify is to choose a custom audience. Select your custom audience that you just created. Basically, you're done at this point. So really, if you want to take action on a specific strategy, customize the retargeting list and then just go ahead, decide on a campaign objective, let's say building up a fan base, and then just select the custom audience, the website custom audience that you created previously. It's as simple as that. Now, here's something that is virtually never covered in any retargeting course that I've seen. And the big question is, should you use the remaining targeting functions? So as you can see, there is the possibility to target by location, age, gender, languages. There are some more demographics, interests, behaviors, and connections. Here's what I always do and what I always recommend. If you work with retargeting, don't specify any of that. That's just a general rule. Do you remember the sheet that we took a look at the very beginning of this course, where we just analyzed the different ways of targeting and the different targeting options that are available inside Facebook? Well, we identified that custom audiences are already pretty much really laser targeted, because you're engaging with visitors of your website. So with people who already know you and who showed some interest in you and your brand. So that's why, generally speaking, if you set up a retargeting ad, don't specify any of the following sections. However, there are 3 things I would do if you want to get even more specific. And these 3 targeting options are location targeting, age, and gender. Let's talk about location first. This is really important if your site is getting a lot of organic traffic. So you're getting traffic from all over the world, but you just want to reach out to a certain market. So let's say you just want to reach out to people living in the United States and the UK, but you're getting lots of traffic from Russia. If you don't want to reach out to Russian customers or to the Russian market, guess what you could do? Just enter the United States here, or the actual country that you want to target. So you just added another filtering process. You created a custom audience that includes basically everybody who was on your website, but you say, hey, I just want to reach out to people living in the United States. Only they should join my fan base or actually get asked to like my fan page. You can actually even get more specific than that. This is particularly important if you're operating a local business. You can say, hey, I just want to reach out to people living in New York. So again, if your website is getting a significant amount of traffic, you can just reach out to the people living in a specific city in the United States, right? Then age. Generally speaking, I would leave this pretty broad. However, if you know that there's only a specific customer segment that will buy from you, and that customer segment is between 30 and 50 years old, then just specify it here. So if you know that there are a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds browsing on your website, but they never buy, then guess what? Just specify your buying audience. I mean, it's great to have a big fan base, like in this example. It's great to have like as many fans as possible on your fan base. This is awesome social proof. However, think in terms of quality and not quantity. Attract the ones who will ultimately become your customers, because at the end of the day, it's all about exchanging a product or a service for money. Make sure to reach out to the people who will buy from you. And if you know it's only that age group, then just specify to the buying age group. And then last but not least, gender. This is very market specific. If you know that only women will buy from you, or let's say you're advertising a dating service that has only men as paying customers. Well, probably there will be also some women on your website, but you don't want to serve them ads to become your buying customers, because women can, for example, join for free. Only men have to pay. If you're just targeting a specific subset of your market, or you just want to target men or women, then specify it here. So let's do a short recap. If you're starting out with retargeting, generally speaking, only select the retargeting audience here and leave every other section blank. However, in some cases, if you receive lots of organic traffic or you just want to reach out to a certain subset of your market, specify the locations here. Then you can specify the age and the gender, and just in some very rare cases, use the more demographics function to get even more laser targeted. And again, no matter whether you want to build up your fan base, promote your content, build up your email list, or promote your offers and services, this section never changes. In this lesson, we want to go one step further, because I'll walk you through a number of core strategies that you can apply right away to grow your business with retargeting. So let's take a look at them. The first strategy to use retargeting is to grow your fan base on Facebook. Let's take a look at a simple example. You're sending a visitor to your website, and on that website you have a retargeting pixel installed. Then you can create a retargeting ad, reach out to that website visitor again a few hours later or a day or 2 days later and tell them, hey, how about becoming our fan? This is a really great way to build up a relevant fan base very quickly. It's way better and way more efficient to ask a visitor of your website to become your fan, because he already knows you and your company. Just reach out to him. And if you send that visitor to a great looking website, maybe it's a blog, and you delivered some truly helpful content, guess what? There's absolutely no reason why he shouldn't become your fan on Facebook. So instead of reaching out to strangers, just create a retargeting campaign that re-engages with your website visitors, and then just expose them to an ad asking them to become your fan, to follow you on Facebook. It's basically how I grow fan bases whenever I have a website that I'm working with, no matter it's for my own project or whether I'm working with a client. This is the way to go if you have a website in place that receives some traffic. Because again, stop reaching out to strangers. If you're hardly receiving any traffic, well, then you have to use the interest targeting section to get some traction on your fan page. But if you have a website in place that receives traffic, that delivers some true value, and that creates some trust between your visitor and your company, then for God's sake, just re-engage with him, ask him to become your fan on Facebook. You will have a really high success rate if you do that. The way to do it, or the way to create a custom audience list, is really the following. Select the option anyone who visits your website. You can get a little bit more specific and say, I just want to reach out to people who visited a very specific website or web page on my website. So you can say, I just want to reach out to people who already made it to my blog section or who read a particular piece of content, right? However, in 90% of the cases, I try to keep things simple, and this is what I recommend to do. If you have a good looking website in place, then just reach out to anyone who was your website visitor. So just go ahead and select the first option. Then just include the URL of your website in the second section. And what I would do is to create a retargeting list and keeping people for 5 days on that particular list. You want to have some degree of recency here, so you don't want to reach out to website visitors and ask them to become your fans 30 days after they made that visit. Probably they don't remember you anymore if they didn't become your blog subscribers or email subscribers or your buyers. So if you're targeting website visitors only, keep some certain recency here, and what I recommend to go for something like 3, 4, 5 days. And last but not least, just include a audience name. Go for something like website visitors 5 days, website visitors 3 days. And then you can just go ahead and use that custom audience, that website custom audience you created in the ad setup process and create an ad that reaches out to your website visitors and that asks them, hey, become our fan. How to include that custom audience that you created, that's something that we will cover in the next video. But that's the way how you customize your website custom audience, which is the first step in the process in order to generate a fan base on Facebook with retargeting. Another great strategy to use retargeting is to generate leads to grow your email list. So this is a typical scenario that you will face whenever you try to grow your email list. And we already talked about this earlier. So you're sending a visitor to a squeeze page. That's the place where you ask him to opt in. You ask him, leave your email address and you'll get this free report in exchange. If that visitor takes action and if he provides his email address, he will get automatically forwarded to a thank you page. Now, what about these visitors who just don't opt in? In a world without retargeting, you just couldn't re-engage with these visitors, which is kind of sad because they already showed some interest in your business, in your offer. However, with retargeting, you can just place a retargeting pixel on your website and then just follow up with them on Facebook, re-engage with them and tell them, hey, I showed you this really great offer. Why didn't you claim it? Get it now. Get this free report now. So you can just send them a reminder on Facebook and send them back to the actual squeeze page. If you want to set up this kind of retargeting campaign and just send back a visitor to the squeeze page, then you have to create a retargeting list, a new custom audience. And please set it up in the following way. Select the option people visiting specific web pages but not others. So here's what you will do. Choose the third option because that's basically the option that is designed for any kind of funnels. And what you have here in place, what we talked about earlier, is a full email funnel. So what you will do in the next step is to include people who visit any web page that meets the following rules. Just enter the name, the URL of your squeeze page. So in this case, it's www.adbaker.de/email. Let's just go back. Can you see that? That's the URL of the squeeze page. So just copy paste this one and enter it in this field. And then you want to exclude people who visit any web page that meets the following rules. You want to exclude everyone who already made it to the thank you page, because these are the people who have opted in successfully, who gave you their email address. You don't want to create a retargeting ad asking them to opt in a second time. So you want to exclude the ones who made it to the thank you page. Let's go back again. Can you see the URL of the thank you page that you have in place? So just copy paste that one and just enter it in the exclude people field. And with regards to the amount of days, set it to something like 3 days. Again, you want to have a certain degree of recency here, and you want to follow up with people who still remember the actual squeeze page or the actual offer they got exposed to. So you just want to send them a reminder, but don't send a reminder 30 days later. And at the end, just again select a audience name, go for something like squeeze page retargeting, and you should actually even enter the number of days. Something else that you should definitely consider, there are 2 options when you include and exclude certain people who viewed a specific web page. So always make sure to select the option URL equals and not the option URL contains, because URL equals is just more specific, it's very accurate. So when you copy paste full URLs, remember, always select the option URL equals. But there is another way how you can use retargeting to grow your email list, and it's really the following. So you're sending a visitor to a squeeze page and he doesn't make it to the thank you page. What we did a minute ago was creating a retargeting list and an ad and just sending that visitor back to the actual squeeze page and tell him again, hey, reconsider your decision, what happened, just opt in. What you could do instead is using retargeting and sending that visitor to a brand new lead magnet, to a brand new offer. Tell him, you didn't like the lead magnet on how to get 1,000 Facebook fans within 24 hours? How about a brand new offer? How about a free report on how to get 1,000 blog readers or 1,000 email subscribers? So just offer him something new that's still relevant, but just something different, okay? And if you see that a visitor didn't take action on the first offer, just send him to a new offer. And then there's another way to use retargeting to grow your email list. So instead of sending a visitor straight to a squeeze page, you can send them to an article first. And once he read that article, you just have a retargeting pixel in place and you create a retargeting ad that will follow up with him on Facebook and will expose him to a squeeze page. So to an opportunity to stay in touch with you and just to leave his email address. Now, why should you send someone to an article first or any piece of content and then to a squeeze page? If you're sending a visitor to a squeeze page first and he has never heard about your company, you're some anonymous entity that he has never seen. So there is absolutely no reason to trust you. However, when you send him to an article first, you gave something valuable for free. You tell him, hey, here's an article that is focusing on a very particular problem that you have. You give him some free advice or just record a really great video, something straight to the point that's really helpful and relevant to his problems. You provide a little part of the solution that he's seeking. And he remembers that. He will remember that, trust me. There is a lot of crap today on the internet. And quality still stands out. So if you send him to some high quality piece of content, so if you send him to a piece of content that's really high quality, he will remember that. I don't know how about you, but I can still remember what article I read 6 months ago or a year ago that really impressed me. So what you can do in that case is to really try to impress your potential client, your visitor, with some really great piece of information, right? Just really do the best job that you could possibly do on that article, on that video, or whatever it is that you're offering. It could be even an infographics. Send him to an article first, then create a retargeting list that captures every visitor, and then just follow up with him and expose him to an ad saying, hey, how about a free guide on how to get 1,000 Facebook fans? This visitor will go like, oh, I remember these guys. I read a really terrific article about how to generate Twitter followers. Sure, just where can I opt in? What you do with this strategy is to build trust that will pay off later down the road. And the way to set up a retargeting list to do that is actually pretty simple. Select the option people who visit a specific web page and then just enter the full URL of your article, so the piece of content that your visitor got exposed to. Then set the amount of days to 3 days. Again, you want to have a certain degree of recency here and just give your audience a name. So this is what I highly recommend. Again, if you have a piece of content in place, this is a fantastic way to grow your email list. The last strategy is to use retargeting to sell more of your products and services. So if you're sending a visitor to a offer page, you're asking him to buy a digital product or a physical product or a service. So let's say you're offering to him a pair of Nike sneakers for $90. There are two options. Either he will take action on that offer, buy it. In that case, he will automatically get forwarded to a offer confirmation page. So you're basically confirming his purchase. You're saying, thanks for buying this pair of shoes. We will ship your shoes in like 1 to 2 days. Or the second option is that he just doesn't take action. He goes like, no, I don't want your shoes. So he leaves your website without making a purchase. Again, without retargeting, there would be absolutely no way to re-engage with him unless he is your Facebook fan or he's on your email list. But with retargeting, you can just install a pixel and then create a retargeting ad telling him, hey, why didn't you take action on this offer? Why didn't you buy it? What's wrong with these pair of shoes? So offer retargeting is pretty much similar to building up an email list with retargeting. Do you remember that was the first lead generation strategy we took a look at? In this case, we're sending the visitor back to the offer page. And in case of the squeeze page, we just send the visitor back to the initial squeeze page, asking him to reconsider and to take action on this offer. And here you're basically doing the very same thing. You're creating a custom audience that includes people, visitors who made it to the offer page but not to the confirmation page, meaning you're retargeting the ones who didn't make a purchase. And you can tweak this a little bit. You can say instead of sending the visitor back to the very same offer, you could just offer him a discount. So he doesn't purchase, you say, okay, no problem. And then you just create a retargeting ad saying, you just checked out a pair of Nike sneakers, here's a 20% discount. So you just showcase the product and tell him you just have to pay $20, $30 less for the product that you just were about to buy. No matter which strategy you choose, whether you just want to send the visitor back to the initial offer or if you want to send him to a discounted offer. The process of creating a retargeting audience or website custom audience is basically the same. First, select the option people visiting specific web pages but not others, right? So you select the third option, which is pretty much applied in any kind of funnel structure. Then you just include the full URL of the offer page. Let's just go back. Can you see there's the URL of the offer, so the initial landing page you're sending a visitor to. And then you want to exclude people who made it to the offer confirmation page. It's pretty much the same as setting up a email retargeting list. Okay, again, we have a funnel in place. Just create a list that includes people who made it to the offer but not to the actual confirmation, to the actual checkout. And then with regards to the amount of days, again, you want to have a certain degree of recency here. So just go for something like 3 days or maximum 5 days. But in any case, I would always select something between 1 to 3 days to make sure to follow up with the visitor as soon as possible and not just wait a couple of days or a couple of months until you just tell him, hey, here's a 20% discount. He will completely forget about you and your product and just go to your competitor and buy it from him. This is probably something you want to avoid, so make sure to follow up with him as soon as possible. And last but not least, again, just give your new audience a name, something like offer retargeting. And again, you just can add the amount of days to the description of your audience name.